So as you heard there, I've got a chirping smoke alarm here. And this smoke alarm from my second floor started chirping, so I had to deal with this. And I thought I'd take the opportunity to open it up and kind of look at the internals of one of these, because I never really, I don't think I've ever seen the inside of one of these new ones. And by new ones, I mean ones that are built in the last 20 or so years, where they're supposed to be replaced. And they don't have any batteries inside that are user changeable. If you read the instructions here, you'll see what I mean. So this says 10-year sealed battery powered smoke alarm with hush. For repair or service, return to kitty, blah, blah, blah. The intermittent chirp every 45 seconds indicates the alarm has reached the end of life and must be replaced. Clean your alarm annually using compressed air or vacuum cleaner hose. I've never even heard that. I guess it's a good thing I'm actually reading this, huh? So I've never done it. Vacuuming through the openings around the perimeter of the alarm. If cleaning does not restore the alarm to normal operation, the alarm must be replaced. The device contains 0.9 microcuries of americium 241, a radioactive material, and is distributed under U.S. NRC number blah, 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 blah. And let's see what americium 241 even is. I am not a chemist. Okay, so this is future Brad, and we're going to look up what americium 241 is. It says here on Wikipedia, which I usually don't like Wikipedia, but in this instance, we're going to use it. Sometimes it's pretty good for just general knowledge stuff. Just don't use it for political stuff, because they're really, really biased. Anyway, americium 241 is an isotope of americium. Like all isotopes of americium, it is radioactive with a half-life of 432.2 years. It's very specific. 241 AM is the most common isotope of americium, as well as the most prevalent isotope of americium in nuclear waste. So this actually comes from nuclear waste, and that's how it's made. It's just basically a byproduct. It is commonly found in ionization-type smoke detectors and is a potential fuel for long lifetime radioisotope thermoelectric generators. Because of the low penetration of alpha radiation, americium 241 only poses a health risk when ingested or inhaled. Americium 241 is the only synthetic isotope to have found its way into the household, where the most common type of smoke detector, the ionization type, uses 241 AMO2 as its source of ionizing radiation. This isotope is preferred over, this is radium-226 radium, because it emits 5 times more alpha particles and relatively little harmful gamma radiation. With its half-life of 432.2 years, the americium in a smoke detector decreases and includes about 3% neptunium after 19 years. And let's see, 2006... is almost 19 years. So we probably have in the sample within this smoke detector 3% neptunium now. So wow, okay. The amount of americium in a typical new smoke detector is 0.29 micrograms, about 1/3000th of the weight of a small grain of sand. Wow. With an activity of 1 microcurie. Some old industrial smoke detectors, notably from Pyrotronics Corporation, can contain up to 80 microcuries. The amount of 241 americium declines slowly as it decays into neptunium-237, a different transuranic element with a much longer half-life of about 2.14 million years. This is how the smoke detector works, so pay attention here. The radiated alpha particles, so these particles that get radiated off of away from the americium 241, right? They pass through an ionization chamber, which is an air-filled space between 2 electrodes. And we're going to see that a little bit later. As I am future Brad, I already know what you're going to see, so pay attention to this part, because it will make sense later. The air-filled space between 2 electrodes, which allows a small constant electric current to pass between the capacitor plates. So they're basically, just picture this, you have 2 electrodes, which are kind of like, they serve as capacitor plates, and off of one of these electrodes, you have these ionized particles alpha particles being radiated across to the other plate. And any smoke that gets in between there basically blocks some of this and keeps it from being absorbed over here on the plate, which causes a difference or a change in current. The alarm circuitry detects this drop in current, and the result triggers a piezoelectric buzzer to sound. So, yeah, keep that part in mind as we go forward. Another really interesting thing is sometimes you go down rabbit holes when you're on the internet, especially when you're reading like Wikipedia pages, because you start clicking through to other articles and so forth. One of the things I found out, we make Neptunium after 19 years, and this stuff lasts about 2.1 million years is the half-life on Neptunium. Never even heard of Neptunium before now. But this guy, David Hahn, you probably have seen videos about this guy if you watch some of the weird and unusual history to be remembered kind of past stuff. Anyway, so this guy, David Charles Hahn, was the radioactive Boy Scout. This is a guy like back in the 90s. He wanted to build a breeder reactor, which is a type of nuclear reactor that basically makes its own fuel. And he collected all of these smoke detectors, was the main source of the radioactive material he was gathering together. And he apparently had, I don't know how many smoke detectors he had collected, but at the time that they had to go in and actually clean out his outbuilding, I think he was trying to do this in an outbuilding. He had like, I don't know, hundreds of smoke detectors or something like that. April 2007, the FBI received a lead regarding Hahn's alleged possession of a second neutron source in his freezer. I mean, what? But anyway, this all started when he was pulled over, and he told the cops, he was trying to help him out. He's like, hey, don't touch any of this stuff or don't get near this stuff. It's all radioactive. And they were like, they thought, there was some bomb or something. So they called the FBI, and he got in a bunch of trouble apparently. And his parents, I guess, got in trouble, and he had to, clean up his outbuilding and all this crap. Hahn was charged with larceny for allegedly removing a number of smoke detectors. Apparently, he never got over this. So he did this back in the 90s. On June 1995, the EPA they had to clean up his site because it was like radioactive. Okay, and they had to remove all the basically radioactive waste from his house that he had gathered together. He was trying to make this breeder reactor, and I guess he never learned his lesson, because then he is a subject of another investigation in 2007, charged with larceny of a bunch of smoke detectors to try to get all this americium out of them to do this again, I guess. I guess he could not give up the dream. He was probably wanting to build himself a reactor so he would never have to pay for electricity. He was like, screw this. He had it figured out. Basically, it's what it amounted to. And the man got in his way.
Open up your eyes, man.
The man's always trying to bring you down one way or another. And sometimes you just got to go your own way, dude. That's what this dude was doing. Anyway, so interesting stuff. I'll put a link. If I could find the link now, there was a documentary about this kid. He was diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia and eventually, I think, committed or something at the age of 39. So really sad ending, but wow, what an interesting chap, right? The most interesting people always seem to have the worst relationships with authority. I wonder why that is.
They know that you know, and now they got to come after you.
This thing, look at this. Look at the date code on this. August 31st, 2006. It is currently October of 2024. So we're way beyond our 10-year life on this thing, like way beyond. I'm surprised this thing is even still chirping, honestly. Looks like there's some clips that I can open up here on this thing and try to get it open without destroying it, but I think they intend for you to have to destroy it to get it open. That's how they force you to buy a new alarm instead of a battery, which I can kind of understand in the case of a smoke alarm. You want to replace the actual internals of the alarm and not just a battery every time, because other things beside a battery go bad in a smoke alarm. I'm sure you want to make sure that those things are new and operational, and the only way to really do that, if you're not an electronics technician, is to replace the thing. So, okay, so here's what we've got. This is the buzzer right here. which this will be nice to keep. We're going to keep this piezo. That's a big piezo element right there. So we'll keep that. We do have 3 batteries here, 3 of them. And these are Fuji Novell lithium batteries. Interesting. Look at that. I wonder if these are rechargeable. Little 3-volt lithium batteries. One would think that they would be rechargeable, but anyway, here are the buttons for. Let's see. One is push and hold to test, and push and hold to hush. Let's push and hold to test. Let's see what it does. I mean, it's still working technically, but that is definitely telling us we need to replace. What's this right here? There's a switch here. What is that attached to? So the americium is probably inside of this. This is the actual smoke detector element, I would imagine, right there. We've got one capacitor here, and it doesn't look like it's anything special. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We've got about 10 or 12, maybe 10 to 14 resistors. There's a couple of smaller capacitors here. What else? Yeah, there's not a whole lot to one of these. Let's undo these screws and we'll get this board out of here. It's funny, you know, the meme, there's a recent meme that is whenever somebody online is saying something really stupid, or somebody on TV is saying something stupid, to put a chirping smoke alarm in the background, because it seems like that's something that always accompanies a TikToker, you know, who's saying some really stupid shit, is like their smoke alarm is chirping in the background. And they have no idea what it is or where it's coming from or anything like that. But is this a switch? It must be. Yeah, it is a switch. Okay, so... Alright. What's this saying? Discharge and off. Look at... Okay. I don't know what the switch is supposed to switch, unless it switches the entire alarm to an off position. It must. Yeah, that is what it is. I mean, I think technically I could replace these batteries and just get away with that, but because I don't see anything else in here that would be a problem. However, I just don't think I don't even know if I could get these batteries. Are these even replaceable? They're soldered in place. They're not soldered, but they are spot welded, is what I'm trying to say, onto those terminals. So that's why you can't change batteries in these. But like I said, yeah, see this right here, discharge or off. And that's definitely a switch. There must be a chip or something on the other side of this board that takes care of the logic. There almost would have to be, right? There's almost got to be some kind of IC, I would think, because otherwise, what does the timer for the hush? Okay, now the board's out. Nope. No, there's nothing on here. Unless there's something inside of here, this element. I do not own a Geiger counter. It would be interesting to see how radioactive that is. So here's our board information. Revision 11. How are you expected to dispose of fire alarms? I wonder what the regulations are in each state. I don't know what the regulations are even in my state of Kentucky about disposing of a fire alarm, because you got these lithium batteries, which you don't necessarily want to throw in the landfill, and then you've got americium in this, which I don't know anything about. Like I said, I'm not a chemist, and I don't know the legalities of that. So where are you meant to dispose of this? I have no idea. Yeah, there almost has to be a logic chip under here. Let's take this off. Let's see if we can get this off, because there's something here. So these two solder points, I gotta suck all that solder out of there. Okay, so there's that piece off. And yes, indeed, we do have a chip under there. Look at that. That's interesting how they have that one leg of that chip hooked upward. Looks like they have two legs of that chip hooked upward. Let me see if we can. We'll desolder that and then lift that. Okay. We do have one more leg, I think, that's soldered on, but it's way back there. I don't know if I'm going to be able to reach it. That other leg had to have been soldered on before they put this on here. So they lowered this piece and the chip together into the socket and soldered all of it on at the same time. So I'm going to have to break that leg off or something to get that out of there. Or I can snip it maybe. Maybe I can reach in there and snip it. Or I guess I could definitely just snip this. Get that out of the way. Does this gotta go? Maybe that's gotta go. There it is. Yeah, that's what it was. So that solder joint right there had to come off. All right, so this is our actual smoke detecting element. So this is what will contain the americium. I don't know where the americium is. I don't know if it's spread like across this entire plate that's up there, or what. But obviously we have what is probably a positive and a negative voltage going to it. I'm guessing. I don't know. But looks like there's two different elements. It looks like there's a lower element that's connected to this terminal, and also that little center piece right there. Maybe that's the americium that's in there. I don't know what's the anode and the cathode of this setup, but there's this looks like it's working like that. Like there's some kind of anode and cathode relationship here. I don't even know how a smoke alarm works, so this will be a learning experience.
So this is the point where I would normally put up a data sheet showing what this chip is and what it does, but I can't find a data sheet on this thing anywhere. The only thing I could find really is a bunch of listings where you can go buy them, but there's no data sheet that you can refer to. It just basically says that it's a proprietary chip, and it doesn't give any information really at all about the circuitry contained within it and what it does. So I don't know.
SC370 900P is what it looks like to me. A couple other little diodes there. I think there's more than that, right? Yeah, there's another one tucked in there. What's interesting is these batteries seem to have two different labels, actually. So they've got this outer Fuji label, and then they've got an inner label you can see underneath it. So there's numbers underneath this label too. So maybe these were rebranded at some point. Fuji. And Fuji is a film. It's like a camera company. I'm thinking these are probably repurposed. Maybe they were overstock or something. Camera batteries. I mean, these are some hella batteries, dude. To have lasted. This is a 2006. 2006. What was I even doing in 2006? You know what happened in 2006? Around this date, I got married. Like 18 years ago. We just celebrated our 18th anniversary. So that's the year I got married. So yeah, man, these are some hella batteries. If you want some batteries that'll last, I guess look for these, right? Because that's a hell of a battery. CR 2/3 8L lithium Novil batteries, 3 volts. A couple things I did not notice on the back of this too. Right there, that warning: do not deactivate alarm until the end of the alarm life cycle is heard. The end of alarm life cycle is an intermittent chirp every 45 seconds. Once the alarm is deactivated, it will no longer function and cannot be reactivated. It must be replaced. To deactivate, break out the crosshatched area above. So that's this area. So that's what's allowing you to get to the slider. This slider, which deactivates. So right there. So that will turn this smoke alarm to the off position, and once it's in the off position, you see they've got it set up where it can go. I think it looks like maybe it can go one way and then it gets locked and it will not go back. They have it where you don't have a way to push it the other direction. You can only push it one direction in this crosshatched area. So when you deactivate it, it's done and you can't push it back the other way without breaking it open like I did. You can just push the switch back the other way. So okay, so those 3 beeps, what does that mean again? The 3 beeps, that's supposed to indicate the 3 beeps indicates the presence of smoke. So with the element removed, obviously it's in an open state right now. So check it out. So if I turn this alarm on with this element removed, this chip is being told that there's an open element, and maybe that also simulates the same thing as the presence of smoke. Yeah. Okay, so in the middle is the operational position. Now it should be able. Okay, now it's hushed. But I mean, the thing is still operating technically, but it's sensing, I guess, low voltage out of these batteries. So I mean, this thing would still work if I replaced the batteries, but I'm not gonna, that's not proper. You know, what's also interesting to me is how seemingly crude these buttons are for the hush and for the test, but they're also very fail-safe. If you look at these, you know, all it is like a terminal that gets pressed down against a piece of bent wire. That's all that switch is. Like, so you press this down. When you press the outside of the unit, you know, when you press one of these pieces of plastic, that's what you're pressing against. You're pressing against just a bent, terminal against that jumper wire right there. That's all it is, and then it just springs back up. Very crude, but very effective and pretty fail-safe. You know, it's not like a little tactile switch or something that can fail on you. That's a very fail-safe sort of switch. Yeah, and the other thing, I do definitely want to salvage the beeper out of this. I mean, I've got others of these, but you know, I like to keep them around just in case I run out of other beepers. But there's all kinds of little projects and things you can do with these, and you can't have too many of them. So there's the piezo element. So this has interesting. So this does this beeper. Probably should have taken the whole thing. It makes it where you can't take the entire thing out. Well, I'll be darned. Okay. Yeah, that makes it a little more difficult to repurpose. I would have to solder on leads. I would have to solder on a lead to this plate on the rear. And that's the white wire. That's where that one was going. You'd have to solder on leads to this plate, and there were 2 more leads. Let's see, one was going to this little area here, and the other was going to a different area of the piezo element. So I don't know why that is. You can see this one is in sections, and there were 3 leads running to this. Most piezo elements you'll see that are used in like musical instruments will only have the 2 elements, one running to the back plate, and then there's a little area here, and there's a bigger area outside of that little area right there. So I don't know what the difference is, but until you soldered some leads onto that to see, you probably wouldn't know. That's probably the only thing that's going to be salvageable out of this. This is a tri-throw switch, so it has 3 positions, middle, and then it has this discharge position over here, and then an off position. So that switch, I could probably desolder and salvage that if I wanted to. And the chip is probably not worth pulling off there and salvaging, but if I wanted to build some kind of pedal or something, I wonder what I could build out of that. Let me look up the numbers of that chip, and we'll see if there's anything that could be done with that. I don't know. Maybe you could build some kind of crude pedal out of just what you find in a smoke alarm. Yeah, you know, if nothing else in this video, hopefully this inspires somebody to not necessarily take apart your smoke alarm, but to check it, replace it if necessary. If nothing else, man, you know what? I wouldn't have even thought about this smoke alarm if it had not started chirping. And because it started chirping, you know, I got to looking at it, and this is a 10-year smoke alarm that's been on my ceiling since 2006. So it needed to be replaced anyway, and I'm going to check. I have 3 in my house, 1 on each level of my house. So, you know, if you don't have enough smoke alarms in your house, or if your smoke alarms are old, or if yours are chirping or something, maybe this will inform some of you. But yeah, definitely replace your smoke alarms more regularly than I have. Maybe check yours right now. Go and see if you've got a date code on yours that's this old, it's time to replace them. You can I'll show you, there's a link down in the description. I'll put like to an Amazon or something. You can usually order these really cheaply, and you can get them in packs of like 2 or 4 or whatever. So yeah, don't hesitate. Keep your smoke alarms up to date. It's a very small thing. It's inexpensive, and it could save your life.